All right, after a 7-day freeze, we are back on this project. If you have not seen this yet, check out a previous video. We're doing 2 Woodford freeze-proof yard hydrants and then just generally running water line to these guys, and then this project over here of mine, this little mobile home. So you can see down in the ditch here, I've got the poly line lead in there, and you're noticing these little piles of dirt. Those little piles of dirt are holding that thing down to the bottom. The spec down here is 18 inches in Eastern Tennessee. That is code. I went 24. That's how deep the machine went. And I've got my digging bar just holding that poly line down. And then I'll just do a little backfilling and then move on to the next one. But my point is let's keep this water line where it's meant to be in the bottom of the ditch and keep it from possibly kinking or, running a little wonky. So now we're just kind of moving forward. You can see that I've got all those little piles. Now this is kind of where it hooks up to the mobile home. I've got a shutoff valve there, and then that's a drain valve. So I can shut that valve off and I can drain that system, if there's ever an issue there, and I don't have to worry about that freezing. So here's one of the hydrants. Take note of that little plastic cup that is on the pipe there. There's a little trick that I learned here on YouTube about keeping these freeze-proof hydrants working correctly and maintenance-free for many years to come. Nosy dogs are out here checking stuff out. That's what they do. If you got dogs, you know the deal. And so this is the supply side of it. If you haven't seen the video where I was running the trencher, this is where the water's coming from. There's a water line that goes from the road 150 foot up the hill, and then it kind of connects to this box here. And then you'll notice I got a block off on one of these T's in case I want to hook something else up over here. I've already got a provision for that. You can kind of see that there. And this is the shutoff valve for the water coming from the road to the top of the hill. Now we're back at this freeze-proof hydrant. You can see this, I'm going to call it a jet or a weep hole. That is when you shut the handle off. The water drains out of there, and that's what keeps these things functional. There's a valve at the bottom, and you can see right here, it's letting that water out. Now this is under pressure, so this is like you have the hose hooked up and you have a nozzle on the end and it's shut off. That's why it's coming out under pressure like this. This isn't every scenario that you would see it in, but it will function normally with a deadhead or like a nozzle that's closed off. Here's where you run into a problem. You've got a hose hooked up and it's not holding pressure, okay? There's nothing on the end holding pressure. You shut it off, see nothing's coming out. It's not able to basically release the pressure. So see how I loosen that hose and it starts coming out? I'm going to loosen it again here. All right, and then you can see it coming out. So if you just had a hose hooked up to here and with no end on it, and you're just filling up something for watering livestock or whatever, it's not going to function the way it needs to. So you should always unhook the hose. All right, so now this is back to the old mobile home. I've kind of bought this thing as is, where is, and we're going to see how that goes. Well, there you go. This kind of explained why there was a lot of missing insulation and the underbelly was pulled down. What a train wreck. That's what you get when you get stuff for cheap. And this thing I had gotten for cheap. I had kind of considered replumbing this with PEX, and I think we're going that route. And I'm not fixing up that CPVC. You can see this V4 diesel heater. There's another video on that. It's pretty cool. So back to this little hack. So I got that cup. It covers up where that nozzle goes, and I got it covered up with that landscaping cloth. So now dirt can't get into there, and it's shielded, and then we've got everything covered up with drainage rock. So, if you're using it a whole bunch, it's not flooded out or anything like that. Got my little hillbilly hot tub going out here. some bath salt. So, everything's working. It's nice to finally be able to enjoy it. We haven't backfilled yet, but we're going to get cleaned up and enjoy the outdoors and doing some dishes. Speaking of ditches, this is all frozen, so all I could really do was just kind of chip at it a little bit with a pickaxe to get things cleaned up. And now it's been a couple more days, and I'm going to go after all this with the old land plane on the 4x4 Chinese tractor. This thing does a great job. So, this may not be super exciting. I'm going to fast forward through some of this here, but, I was chipping away at the areas where I couldn't fit the tractor into earlier with a pickaxe and a rake, and it's a lot of work. So if you're watching this, little footage of the tractor here, and you're like, wow, this is getting boring, it's taking forever or whatever, just imagine if you had to backfill all these ditches by hand. It's not a ton of ditch. It's, probably about 275 feet total, but, with the ground being frozen and, it's been above freezing for, I guess, 48 hours now, but a lot of the dirt's still frozen, so I'm kind of just, digging and scraping through that with this implement here. And, it beats just chipping away at frozen dirt with a pickaxe, which I was doing in other spots. But, I've been able to use this implement on the tractor quite a bit. It does a really great job. I've got a track loader. Those things aren't great for grading, but this smooths it out really nice if you get any washboard or little humps or whatever. You can see I'm kind of just going up onto a big pile right now with this thing. And, think of a wood plane. This is a land plane, so we're just going to go in there and just knock that big pile down. And because there's two blades on this one, there's one in the front and then one in the back. You can see where I kind of let a pile out in the front blade. It'll carry a good bit of dirt. You can carry about a yard of dirt in that thing. So we're just kind of going around and smoothing things out. And I'll let you guys just check this out, and you get to see the way that this operates a little bit. some of that excess dirt. I'll give you a little view real quick here. There's a little area where I guess from some of the runoff I got a little bit of a washout going in this area. Nothing too crazy, but I'm just kind of filling that area in a little bit with that excess dirt. So we're going to go over to where the box at, and then take a look at this area. Now this was the first time I ever ran a trencher, and these things don't really care to make turns too much, and if you look at the way it's set up, it makes sense. So this is quite a bit wider than the 4 inches that it does, and you can see where it starts to taper down to its normal 4-inch path. So we're gonna kind of drag some of this back in there, and again, lot nicer to do it like this than to chip at this frozen ground with a pickaxe, because it's going back down to freezing tonight. So I have to have all this line covered back up, otherwise nature is going to undo all the work that I've done. So we're getting back after it again. So this is one of the advantages of having a 4x4 tractor. I'm you're going to notice going in and out and crossing over this ditch, and it can be about a foot wide in some places. Now, if you're in a 2-wheel drive tractor, you're probably going to end up getting stuck. We're in, first gear and low range, so, not moving very quickly, but we are managing to not get stuck, which is nice. I'm not afraid to get it stuck because I've got a 34,000 pound track loader that could probably just pick this whole board tractor up if I had change of straps set up to do something like that. But I can at least drag it out of where it's at. But yeah, so something to consider. Like before, I have the 8N4 tractor, and I really like that tractor a lot, but you can't really ask it to do stuff like this in this type of situation. Alright, so that turned out fine. Everything will need to be going back over once the ground dries out a bit. Still got this area here that I'm just going to have to fill in by hand, but got a lot of work done with the tractor. Now we're back at this little mobile home, and I've got this water box set up. That's just some like R10 foam insulation. You can see the, shutoff valve and the drain valve, and then I made a little cover for that. Alright, so I've done some handwork here, and this is about as far as I can get with a frozen ground with the pickaxe. I definitely don't need to worry about the line freezing tonight because it's covered up with plenty of dirt. And I'm pretty happy to have this done. Once the weather clears up a bit, I can go back after this and smooth it out a bit more. And, that's fine. But it's all covered up now, and now I can use these 2 freeze-proof hydrants, and I'm pretty excited about this, So I've got service to this mobile home that obviously needs to be replumbed. I'm going to get after that in a different video, I guess. And, this is one of these things that I put off because I'm like, hey, what if I do this and what if I do that in regards to excavation? I don't want to hit these lines or have to redo them, but now it's finally done, and I've got some access to water, and I don't have to, worry about hoses freezing or draining hoses out. I can just kind of hook a hose up or just get water from there. In a first world setting, people don't really value access to water the way that we should, but when you're living off grid like this and having access to water regardless of these freezing temperatures is a big deal for me. So I'm pretty excited about this. It's a big moment for me, even though it's not that exciting of a topic. Getting ready to make dinner. I'm going to be making some sausage, egg, and cheese breakfast burritos. I've got some homemade potato wedges cut up, and they're starting to cook out here on my cast iron skillet. That's just the beginning. It's not the finished product. But thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you on the next one.